for the Democrats, one of the reasons why I think Kamala was in Texas today is to give MJ Hager a boost.
Yeah.
I think I think Kamala did multiple stops. I think, was it 3 to 5?
Yeah.
And I think MJ was with her at all of them.
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah, I think she did an event with Castro and Beto too, which they're very popular in Texas. I think MJ Hager is a great candidate. She was one of the rising stars in the Democratic Party. She's really given it to him in Texas, and the polls aren't looking. She's just a little behind, but you never know. You never know if Kamala gets a lot of support, and if Biden's getting a lot of support in Texas, then MJ can flip that seat. It would be great. A lot of down ballot Democrats are winning in Texas, and we saw that in 2018 where we lost the big races in Texas with Cruz and Beto, and we lost the big race in Florida. But a lot of the congressional Democrats on the down ballots were winning races in Florida and Texas that are not usual. So just how close we are getting to flipping these states is very, very hopeful.
Do you have Hager as one of the flips or not?
No, I don't. I don't think she's.
What are your flips? Who do you think is going to flip
for everybody who's paying attention, Democrats have a 4-seat deficit right now, but it's not looking great in Alabama. And we'll talk about that. I know you have an opinion about that, but people feel like we're going to lose the Alabama seat. So we have to gain 5 seats roughly to have a majority. I think Colorado's going to be a win. I think we're going to flip Colorado. I think we're going to flip Arizona. McSally's super unpopular over there. I think we get I think Ossoff is on a roll right now, and I think he flips one of the Georgia seats. I think Susan Collins loses in Maine, and we flip that seat. Those are the 4 that I'm looking at that are I think are pretty much. Actually, I'll take that 5. I think we're going to flip the North Carolina seat as well. Phyllis is not looking too good right now, so I think those are the 5 that are going to flip. If we could flip the 6th and 7th, that would be great because there's another one up in Georgia. And I know that we'll get into Alabama in a second, but those are the 5 seats that I think are going to flip, and I think we're going to have the majority, hopefully.
Yeah, and a few things. First of all, you talked about Ossoff in Georgia.
Yeah.
Talk about, we were talking about Obama and Biden. I'm not sure if you saw him this morning. There was this clip where he was talking about Purdue backing out the rally. And, there's white people who mimic black folks.
Yeah.
But then there's other white people who are around black folks so much.
We get the Holy Ghost.
They just start talking like this. And Ossoff had this, and he's probably running around the state with Warnock.
Yeah.
Right? And Warnock's a preacher. He had this little black preacher, black accent drawl this morning, but it seemed natural. It didn't seem authentic.
Yeah.
It didn't seem like it was pandering.
It wasn't forced. It did not seem forced at all.
It wasn't forced.
Yeah.
It was almost like code switching, right? He knew who he was in front of, and he was comfortable. And don't forget, a lot of us Southern drawl also, whether you're white or black, jives with the black dialect to some extent. But I thought that was funny. But I think that the states that you hit are going to come through. But I think that there's a whole bunch of phase 2s that at least 2 or 3 of them are going to come through.
Yeah.
Right? Meaning that we know we're going to get the states you mentioned.
Yeah.
We're going to get Colorado. We're going to get Arizona. We're going to get Maine.
North Carolina.
We're going to get North Carolina. I think we will pick up Ossoff's seat. Warnock will push it into a runoff. Don't forget Montana's in play.
Yeah. South Carolina.
South Carolina's in play. They just had a debate tonight. I'm for some reason, I'm not sure if you've seen it, but a lot of the members of the Senate have been souping up Mike Espy down in Mississippi.
Yeah, I saw that as well.
I've heard that that's a long shot, but I will tell you this, and I'll protect identities. But I've got contacts. I was talking to one of my contacts who's who was talking to one of their contacts, or I should say, multiple of their contacts, who's plugged into South Carolina, and every week they've said, Jamie does not got a chance. Jamie's got not a chance. Jamie doesn't have a chance. Last night, I spoke to my contact who spoke to their contacts, and they said, Jamie has a chance.
Yeah.
So these are people who know politics. They know Southern politics, and they've been doubting whether Jamie can pull it off. But for some reason, they saw something this last week that told them that Harrison may have a shot.
He's been knocking out the park. And the only thing I know is I'm paying attention to that race very closely because I disdain for Lindsey Graham. But every single time Lindsey Graham's on TV, he's begging for money. So that tells me that he's in trouble. And if Jamie can flip that seat, then we'll be in pretty good position. So let me roll into one thing really quick. We just predicted kind of all these Senate races. Your official pick for president is, what states do you think Biden ends up flipping?
Well, I'll answer that question a little differently. I'll use my communication skills. My framing of the question is, I don't think it's going to be so much what states Biden flips as much as the momentum that the Democrats have that night and our ability to win in states that we're not supposed to win, not just at the presidential level, but at the Senate level. So, for instance, let's just say Jamie Harrison pulls off a victory in South Carolina, right?
Mm-hmm.
If he pulls off a victory, keeps it close in South Carolina, even though South Carolina is not on Biden's map, does South Carolina come and play, right?
Yeah.
If so, I do think same with Texas. If MJ Hager goes ahead and either beats John Cornyn or goes ahead and just makes it close, then you got to think Texas is in play, and Biden can win that state. In 2018, the Democrats took back the House.
Yeah.
And part of the reason why they took back the House is they won where they were supposed to win.
Yeah.
But they also won a lot of districts that they didn't need, that no one expected them to win, that people weren't paying a lot of attention. I'm not sure if you remember, a lot of people, I don't think that Lauren Underwood was considered to be a frontliner.
Not at all. Yeah.
I think that they, they wanted that win, and they were definitely working hard to get it, but that wasn't part of the calculation. That was gravy, right?
Yeah.
So I think that you're going to have a situation where a lot of these folks are going to be, a lot of these folks, a lot of these states are going to go ahead, and the turnout's going to be so massive, right? And don't forget, if you have a lot of voter registration in a cycle, if you look at Texas, and if you look at all the people, as we said earlier in the show, they've had more people vote early in Texas than they had vote in total in 2016.
Yeah.
That means that there's a lot of people that are flying underneath the radar, and I'm sure that's happening in a lot of states. And I can't imagine, if you love Donald Trump, that you went ahead and you ran down to vote. I think you were probably voting for him already, right? So I think even though the Republicans in some states have had a voter registration advantage, I don't know. I think the low propensity voters, the new voters, and the low propensity voters, those are basically going to the Democrats. So I think when you think about what states will Biden flip, man, I think he's going to flip a lot more than he needs. I think that there's going to be, and I will tell you this much, not only will this change the way DC looks as it relates to the makeup of DC, but you've got people like Ben Sass and Ron Johnson up in 22. If their states, obviously Wisconsin is, potentially going Democrat. That's got us scared of living with Jesus out of Ron Johnson. Nebraska might not go, but let's just say that people perform much better in Nebraska than they're supposed to. One of the races we've talked about, that we've not talked about yet, from a Senate perspective, is a lot of people think that we might pick up a Senate seat in Kansas.
Yeah. I'll take it a step further. Something that you said that really interested me was, how many voters did Trump pick up? Right. We know that he's probably doing a little better in some areas that we didn't think he would do better in, but he's losing a lot of the suburban women. He's losing a lot of non-educated white voters. And so here's how I look at it in the most key way. Biden's path one, his easiest path, is Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania, right? I think that's what they've targeted. That's the easiest path for him to flip it. And I said this earlier, right? Wisconsin, Hillary lost by 0.3. Michigan, she lost by 0.2. And Pennsylvania, she lost by 0.7. I can't imagine, after 4 years, after the pandemic, after the uprising in the summer surrounding George Floyd, I can't imagine that that 0.7 is a margin enough where Trump could keep that. He needs to, as an incumbent, he needs to look strong, and he needs to push 0.7 to a 3 and a 4-point lead. And I have to believe that 0.7 is not a margin enough that we can't flip. So we historically talk about the blue wall in those 3 states, and that's what I'm looking for. The same thing with Arizona and North Carolina. It's like North Carolina has a Democratic governor, and Arizona has been trending that way for a long time. So I have to believe that all this noise, all this uprising, all this frustration is going to lead to what I think it's going to lead to in the polls. So I tend to agree with you. I think it's going to be, I think we're worried and we're pessimistic on purpose, and we're trying not to get overconfident, but I feel like Tuesday is going to be a little bit of relief for us, and that's what I'm hoping for.